My name is Elaine, and I am the hand dyer behind Nabi Studio, a company I started a little over 2 years ago out of Zurich. I'm a New Yorker and moved to Zurich 6 years ago, and right now I'm actually in Germany. I'm here at my husband's family's house, and with our two boys. We're here for Easter. So anyway, back to me. I decided I'm going to start a podcast because I basically want to be part of this wonderful community we have. And recently, for the first time, I went to EYF and realized how much I would really like to be part of the gang, hanging out with all the podcasters and all the cool people. But anyway, to be serious, I really want to connect more with fellow knitters and fiber enthusiasts. So I wanted to start this podcast so I can make online friends and one day, hopefully, in-person friends. So I basically started knitting 14 years ago. I learned in a Starbucks with my friend, and funny enough, she realized, or I realized after she taught me, when I was having an issue with one of my projects, when I went to a local yarn store, they were like, "You're knitting wrong," and I didn't dare tell my friend, but she was teaching me how to basically, all my stitches were twisted, but basically since I was purling it twisted also, it actually came out fine. But anyway, then she realized a little later also that she had taught me incorrectly. It was sort of funny. But anyway, so I've been knitting on and off for over 14 years. And when I moved to Zurich, I basically really threw myself into knitting. I moved to Zurich with my boys. The older one just turned 4, and the younger one was 8 months at that point. And so I was an art director in New York, and when we moved, I quit working and became a full-time wife and mother, and spent a lot of time hanging out in playgrounds and stuff, and really needed something that would keep me busy, but would also give me the opportunity to pay attention to my children at the playground. And so knitting was perfect. So I really threw myself more and more into it and realized that I also wanted to learn how to spin. So almost 3 years ago, I guess, I started spinning. I got myself a drop spindle, and then I wanted an e-spinner, which I got, and then I realized that I really want a wheel. So I got the matchless and loved it and was spinning like crazy. Actually to the point where it was causing me a little pain. So then, but knitting took its prime role again, and I still spin, but not as much as I did when I first started. I actually used to hang it all out on my balcony for it to dry, and people would walk by and see all this yarn hanging there. And then I decided that I really wanted to learn how to dye yarn, because being an art director, working with colors was quite natural to me and something I did all the time. And so I did that, started that a little over 2 years ago. And then about 6 months after, I decided I wanted to start my own company, and Nabi Studio was born. And I wish I could focus on it more full-time, or at least more part-time than I'm actually doing it. But the kids' schedule is quite difficult. The school system in Zurich is different from the States, where the kids leave a little after 8, anywhere from, they leave a little after 8 and staggered, and then they're home at noon for a home-cooked warm lunch every day, and then they're home for about an hour and a half, and the older one goes back 3 afternoons from 1:30 to 3:30, and the younger one goes back 2 afternoons to kindergarten from 1:40 to 3:20. So I don't really get a huge chunk of time, and to be honest, the morning is taken up by basically cleaning up everything after they leave, doing the laundry, getting the groceries for lunch and dinner, and prepping their lunch and whatever. And so my time is really sort of all over the place. And they also get 2 weeks off every 2 months. So it makes it a little hard for a person to have a full-time job. But anyway, after working so much before we moved, I really needed something to call my own, and really thought that this business, hand dyeing, would really be something that I can work on when I have time, and be as flexible as I need it to be. And so that's how the company started. And also, I would say everything happened 2 years ago. A little over 2 years ago, I became a test knitter. I think my first test was with Suvi Samola, and basically that's 99% of my knitting time. So I've worked with various designers, Isabel Kramer, Suvi Samola, Ambo Bryan, Caitlin Hunter, lots and lots of people basically. And also, with the test knitting, it actually has taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot of different techniques and a lot of different ways of working. Anything, between short rows or cast-ons and stuff like that. So it's been great. It also keeps me on a schedule. I have to say, before I started test knitting, I might not have finished as many projects as I do now. I have a tendency to love to cast on a million things and get a little bored with it and cast on something else and never finish whatever else has been sitting there for I don't know how long. But I do admit now that I am working on something that I don't finish. Basically, I hardly ever get back to anything because I'm on a schedule all the time. And so recently I've decided that maybe I'll slow down a little with the test knitting and enjoy the millions of patterns I have purchased from Ravelry, through books and all the other things that I have, and realized that there were a lot of projects that I was really excited about when they were first released and actually never got to them. So you'll see some of those today. And also with the test knitting, I guess I've been quite prolific and have made quite a lot of things actually. And also I find that with the test knitting, sometimes it's good that it forces me to work on something in a different way, because this is how this person has designed this project, and so sort of makes me learn something new, which later I realized maybe is a better method to something, and also keeps me on a schedule and actually finishing things, and yeah, that I actually have FOs at the end. The one drawback I would say with test knitting, and it's not a drawback with every test knit because every designer is different, a lot of the tests, there are no modifications allowed pretty much, and so I have a tendency to really like 3/4 sleeves. Even with long sleeves, I always push them up. I do like pulling them down, but that's really not as common as my constant pushing my sleeves up. But and I also hate sleeves. Sleeve Island kills me. But little things like that, sometimes I'm not allowed to change something. So a lot of the projects I realize after the fact that I would have done some slight modifications maybe, but basically I've never really knit anything twice. Yeah. So basically, with all the years of knitting, I don't know how many years ago this was. I'd never knit a shawl. I never really understood the whole shawl thing because I was like, ugh, who wears shawls? But then I got into a crazy shawl stage, and that slowed down quite a bit. I'm really mostly a garment knitter and have always been a garment knitter. And it's funny because in the beginning, when I first started knitting, I didn't really know if I could understand how to read a pattern, so I didn't really try. So I actually designed my own things, and now it's sort of funny because I would really like to go back to designing things, but it seems overwhelming to me, even though that's how I started. And then last year, exactly a year ago, I never knit socks. In 13 years of knitting, well, I knit my husband a pair of socks once because he said that was the only thing he's ever really wanted was a hand-knit pair of socks. And I finally did that for him several years ago, but I never made myself socks or my children socks. And last year I decided I'm going to try this sock thing, and in March, and I made 14 pairs from March to December, and I've finished 3 now. I still have 2 whips, but for this year, and I always do them 2 at a time because I realize also that if I did 1 at a time, I would have a bunch of hose, and I really don't want to have hose. I want FOs. So I have very particular things that I have to do that I know if I don't, I'll never get to it. And also, I usually prefer toe up, but I've done some cuff down. So anyway, since this is my first episode, I'll show some FOs that are not quite as brand new to me, but they're kind of current. So this is the most recent Caitlin Hunter. This is the Tamkuse, and I love, 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 love this. I love knitting it, and I love wearing it. I have to say this is one of my most worn garments almost, even though I just finished it. So the main color is Dovestone DK, and it was such a pleasure to work with it. It wasn't my first time working with it, but it was my first time working with it in this quantity, I guess. And the black is John Arbin Knit by Numbers. And this white color, sort of gray also, is Hudson Valley Fibers Mudna. And I have to say, I love that yarn also. I actually love all 3 of these yarns. The John Arbin is so soft. And I was tempted to make it all in John Arbin, but from what everybody says, and also from feeling how soft it is, I knew it would pill like crazy. So I didn't want to put all the work into something that would pill so much, but I figured in smaller quantities it would work really well. And the Hudson Valley Fibers Mudna I bought at Rhinebeck in 2016, and I bought a sweater's quantity, although I've not made a sweater completely with it. I'm gonna get more of this the next time I have a chance to get some because it's really incredible yarn. And another Caitlin Hunter. This is Caitlin Hunter Birkin. This is from Lina issue number 2, I believe. And this is all Jameson and Smith yarn, but it's Jameson and Smith that I hand dyed. The dark color is actually a dyed color that I over dyed. I wanted something really rich and dark as my main color, which is a little different from most of the Birkins that I've seen. And I'd wanted to make this for a very long time. The minute I saw the issue, I knew I wanted to make it, and it was one of my EYF sweaters. The other Caitlin Hunter was also I wore for EYF, and yeah, it's so pretty, I think, and I really love it. So that's another FO. This is actually pretty old. This is the Black River shawl from Samantha May Lamb, which I did out of Hinterland. It's 4 colors. You see the 3 stripes and then the main color that's gray. This is 2 years ago, I believe. So that was it was a test that I did. So those are some of my FOs. And now let's get to the whips. So as I said, I went to UIF this year for the first time. And before I went, I saw that Garthenor was going to vend there. And Garthenor was something, the minute I heard about, I really wanted to try. And I was really excited that they were going to be at UIF. And right before UIF, I saw that on Instagram, Vive or Vive, I'm not sure, Vive on Instagram was showing her Say Hello sweater that was going to go into testing soon, and I loved it. I love all of her designs. I really wanted to test it, and it was at a Garthenor, something I wanted to try, so I felt, hey, perfect. So here's my Say Hello so far, my work in progress. Yarn is really, really light. It's so it's like a feather. And this is organic Shetland, and it's wonderful. She made hers out of the cappuccino colorway, which I believe no longer is available. So I bought 5 skeins of this, 5 hanks of this, and should be more than enough to finish my sweater. And another test that I'm working on is for Verena Kors, the Wool Club, who I've tested for quite often. And when I saw this on Instagram, I also knew that I had to make this. It's the Vanilla Heirloom. So it's basically a very basic sweater, perfect for beginners, raglan, top down. And yeah, what else can I say? It's something that I'm going to wear all the time. So I made this out of I'm using Toff DK for this. And it's another yarn. This is from my stash, sort of old stash. I don't know why I've kept it for so long, because it's wonderful. I have a tendency to buy a lot of things when I see it, dying to use it, and then never getting to it. I admit that I have enough stash for several lifetimes, and that doesn't seem to stop me, because I kind of went a little nuts at UIF. And I sort of feel like, I know other people like to have no stash, like Andrea Fruity Knitting, or some people like to plan out what they're going to make and then buy the yarn, the stash for it. With test knitting, I find that if I buy something, I'm eventually going to use it. It's funny, I was buying lots and lots of fingering weight, and everything I wanted was coming out in DK or Sport, and now I've loaded up on DK, and I know somehow we're going to go to some other weight that I don't have enough of. So those are my current tests, and so I've decided to slow down a little on testing, because I know that there's so many things that I've been planning to make for a very long time now and just have not gotten to it, and I really want these things. So I decided no more waiting. This is something I've wanted the minute it came out, and that's Plum from Yonko Amoto. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing a lot of things, I'm sure. So I've wanted this for so long, and so I finally cast on. This is Jameson Smith again that I hand dyed, and this dark color is the same color as the main color of my Birkin. I had enough, actually more than enough, to do the color work on this. So it's yeah, that's more true to color, although I think it's a little bit more vibrant than that. So really looking forward to this, and I'm hoping that I can get back to this soon. Really, really love all of her patterns, and every time she releases something, I want to make it, and I want to have it, and I want to wear it. And something very exciting for me is Leah Tbolt, Miss Cleaver on Instagram, is creating a wildflowers collection that she should be releasing slowly soon. And the first pattern that's supposed to release is the Rambling Eden shawl, and she and I collaborated. So for her original design, she has a dusty pink color that I created called Albertine, and so she will have that in her shop, and I have that in my shop also. That's available. And then I decided, instead of making another one the exact same color, I created another color for mine, which is Not So Blue Over You. And it's a dusty blue-gray color with specks of purples and pinks and oranges and really beautiful lace. So this is a crescent-shaped shawl, and basically you start with the border, and then we'll have the easy stockinette, I believe, after you're done. So I'm getting there. I have a few more repeats to go of that, and this was one of my, I'm crazy about woolen flower, and this is my 4th woolen flower bag that I purchased at EYF. When she first came out with these, I was like, oh, how much would I want a bigger one also for, and then she created it, I believe last year, releasing them for the first time Pom Fest, and then I was looking forward to buying it from her this year at EYF, and this is the one I picked. I have this one also, which is also a larger size, and I have this one, which is a smaller size, and then I have one more somewhere, which, yep, here it is. So 4 of these, and I love them all, and they're gorgeous. They're upcycled Harris tweed, and they're just gorgeous, every single one of them. So that's that. So also I decided that I wanted to join Helen Stewart's Curious Handmade Society. So I joined, and this is my winter rose socks using my colorway Mystique. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful pattern. Hopefully I can get back to this again and finish my socks, because I'm a little behind on my sock knitting. But yeah, beautiful socks from Helen. Looking forward to the next one coming out, I believe in a week or so. And I think that's it for my active whips. I have quite a few dormant whips, but I don't have enough time during the day. I posted the other day that I wish I was an octopus, and my husband thought it was the weirdest thing to post, and why would anybody want to be an octopus? But there's so many projects out there that I would love to do, but I don't have enough time. I certainly have enough yarn for it, but I don't have the time. And there are other crafts that I also want to do, which I cannot get to. I took an embroidery class last summer at Pearl with Katie, and loved it, but have not had a chance to do it again since the class. And of course I bought a few things that I wanted to make from Pearl, and I know that it would make a great addition to all the things that I have in the house, but just have not had a chance to do it. And another thing that I was supposed to do last year was learn how to make quilts, because I love quilts, and have not convinced anybody to actually make me one. So I'm going to have to learn how to do it myself. And I was going to learn how to do that last year also, but I've just not had the time to do it. And yeah, there's other things that I also felting, needle felting basically is something I would love to try also. So basically I know there's millions of podcasts out there, and I watch most of them probably, but yeah, I wanted to do this because I think it would be fun to get to know more people, and also I think it's great to share the different things that I'm working on, and just have some communication with people out there all over the world. Uh, with my podcast, most of it will probably be test knits that are whips, and so you'll get to see designs before they're released to the public. Some of them are secret, so I can't release everything, or I can't talk about everything that I'm working on, but I can show you the yarn choices I've made or whatever. And so this can help you prep for something that's coming out soon that you're excited to make. If you're at all like me, I like to see what's coming out and plan, and like me, never get to. But I hope you tune in again, because I'd really like to um, get to know all of you. And I hope this is going to be good, and I hope that I'll actually put this out there. I'm not sure what kind of schedule I'll have with podcasts. I'm not sure if I'll do this again, honestly, but let's give me a little leeway. This is my first one, and I'm sure a lot of it is really a mess, and hopefully I'll get better and better, and hopefully I'll keep doing this and build friendships and a community, and just chat with all of you. I'm actually leaving for the States to visit home again in a few weeks, and then I'm actually going to the Curious Handmade Bath Retreat, which I'm really looking forward to, taking a class with Hohi and with Renee Callahan of East London Knits. Get to hang out with Yona and Sini from Elina before I go to their retreat in Italy, which I'm really looking forward to also. So I have a bunch of great things coming up, and lots of fun things that are going to be new and different for me. EYF was the first time I actually went on a trip without my kids and my husband. I went with my friend and two of her 4 kids, and we had a great time, and we're definitely doing it again next year, this time without kids. But yeah, so this is the start of a lot of new things for me also. So I hope you'll join me with my new adventure, and we'll get to know each other over time, and I'll see you again. Bye.